It says that the program is not a documentary and may include reconstructed, stage, or edited scenes. Are they sitting you down and saying, hey, let's refilm this?
Yeah. Oh, like my wedding, for example, 4 times. Married 4 times.
They did the wedding scene 4 times. Welcome back to Exhibit A-List, where pop culture gets cross-examined. I'm Jasmine Wegg. I'm a lawyer, and I love breaking down contracts, power dynamics, and legal realities, especially when we talk about shows and the behind the scenes and the celebrity stories that we all watch and don't necessarily know what's going on behind them. A quick reminder before we jump in, you can find me on Instagram, Jasmine Wegg ESQ, and the podcast Exhibit A-List Pod. And I'm also on TikTok at Jazz the Lawyer. If you like this episode, the best way to show love is to follow the podcast and leave a rating and review wherever you listen or watch. Now, after my Love is Blind contract breakdown went viral, one of the biggest questions I kept getting was like, is this just Netflix or is this happening across the board? So today we're going to get an insider take about Married at First Sight Australia, which is one of the biggest franchises in the world. And my guest, who I'm so grateful to have here today, is Ben Walters, who appeared on season 7 of Married at First Sight Australia. I'm sorry, 11, season 11.
11.
My bad. And he's been very vocal about the contract that he signed, and he's been talking about it on social media and why people should actually understand these kind of agreements and what they're getting into. So welcome, Ben. Thank you so much for coming on.
Great intro.
Thanks.
Excellent communicator straight away. It's not surprising you're a lawyer, so well spoken.
Thank you. That's so kind of you. Tell me about yourself. I really want to understand, like, where were you at before you started the show? You applied for it. What drove you to apply? And what was that process like?
Yeah, I applied for what you'd say the wrong reasons. It's not really for love. Chasing clout, opportunity, guilty as charged, and everyone on the show's like that.
Wait, first of all, I love your honesty because no one ever admits that. So like, kudos to you for just being honest, because that's a real reason that someone's going to do a show. Let's be real.
It depends what level. Like, if you are unaware of the fame you're going to get, like, you are absolutely delusional. Like, you're going on the worst. I don't know about it, the American version of Married at First Sight, but Australia, it is the most watched show in the country. Like, it's, it's bigger than the Super Bowl here. Like, it is absolutely bananas. So if you're unaware of that, come on, like, you've bloody kidding yourself. But the reason why I applied is COVID. I had my own tour business going, and tourism and Australian tourism just absolutely got annihilated. So I applied in 2021, but I didn't make it to 2024. So they kept me on the back burner. So I nearly made season 9, nearly made season 10. They were like on the phone to me going, what's your ring size? Pack your bags, get ready. And then got the call up for season 11 and thought, fuck it, let's go.
So when you say you did this for clout, did you want to build up your business because your business just wasn't doing well due to COVID? Or were you trying to build a name on social media and make a business out of that?
It didn't have a clear direction. It's just a great opportunity. And this is why the contracts are interesting, because I didn't review it as thoroughly, and I hadn't been aware the last 10, 20 years of what reality TV actually is. So I didn't do my homework prior, and that was the biggest downfall.
Did you watch the show?
Yeah. So how it come about is I met someone at a podcast. I used to do a podcast as well, and I went to this award show where I met someone who was presenting an award for Married at First Sight. I watched 4 or 5 episodes and I thought, I fit the mold for this. I could give this a crack. So I watched 4 or 5 episodes. That was it. Then season I nearly made it. I watched about a couple of episodes and it was just drama driven. Why the hell was I thinking? And I didn't watch all of it. I know I wasn't watching it as I should have watched it, taking notes to actually go on it. I was just sort of, you're eating telly, you're eating your dinner and it's in the background. Like that. That's how much I absorbed and thought, this is just garbage. Why is that character being an idiot for? And I just didn't understand it.
But so why a Married at First Sight? Like, why a marriage-driven show? Were you in the place that you were ready to be married, or you were just like, this is the biggest show in Australia right now?
Yeah, a combination. So like, I was 37 when I first applied, and I thought, like, I didn't discount, like, if I meet someone and married up and everything's great, amazing. It has like a 2 or 3% success rate. So hello, like that's, so I thought you can swipe right and meet people. And these experts, I honestly thought they were generally there to nurture and help the relationship. When we're on the show, I'm like, this is fucking cooked what they do. So I was unaware of the drama-driven stuff that happened on the show. So I was just blind to it. I subscribed to, hey, this is a legitimate thing. Amazing. Maybe I could get better at behaviors. Maybe I could improve my... It's just all crap.
And
So,
if you find the person of your dreams, like, well,
yeah,
that's amazing too.
maybe people on the show generally want that relationship first and all the clout and fame second. But I was like, no, I'll take that first. And if love happens, then that's a bonus because the strike rate is so low for success.
And I know they call the show an experiment. Before you started, what was your understanding of what the experiment was?
Well, that contract we sign and the producers make us say the word experiment, and I'll forever always call it now a TV show for good reason. It's a lucky dip. You know, you do have to go through, to be fair, a lot of interview of questions. So they find the exact part or exact best fit, but they can turn that on you and they can find someone who's completely not a fit, just for that dramatic effect. I was lucky. I had a great match. So on paper, I was like, damn, like, I initially bought in. I was like, maybe this is a real deal great thing.
I actually interviewed someone who did Married at First Sight here, and he felt that they took everything that he said he wanted and gave him the complete opposite.
That does
he
happen.
felt from the first moment, it was just a TV show. There was no way he would ever find love through it. Those are both, yes, that was. They're both interesting TV when it works and when it doesn't work. But like you said, it is a TV show. For those followers who didn't follow your season so well, how would you describe your overall experience on the show?
Hard to summarize that. The overall experience, the first half was great. I thought this is terrific. I'm having a great time, got a good match. But like I said, I listened to prior to this podcast. I thought, oh, okay, what's this podcast about? So a little bit of research, and I listened to the pod with Brendan Reed. Mm-hmm. He lives in America. Him and I, if we met randomly, we'd probably have nothing in common. But on that podcast, I was like, holy fucking shit. We speak, like, I wrote points. I re-listened. I was like, that's the same my experience. That's the same my experience. Wow. All the sides of the world. And I wrote them down. Like, if he's listening, please, dude, we got to connect, because his character selected or pre-chosen who he was. That was my situation. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not able to organically talk like we are. The producers will really selectively guide you on what you say and what not to say. The producers, I was saying is, it was very uncomfortable not giving him food. They put us in tents for hours on end. They hire out a big floor of a building in Sydney, and for hours you're just sitting by yourself. So that's part of the strategy, to just be by yourself. It's kind of like this clever pressure tactic of just going absolutely bananas, or agitate you and not holding food from you. Or you get, like, they give you like a packet of chips and lollies and like really sugary sweets. So you get a sugar rush, you're tired. And that's, I didn't realize that's part of the recipe. I was like, wow. Holy shit. That happens in Married at First Sight. That happens here. Things you do to poke drama and poke things in a certain way. I thought that was bananas. Filming till 3 a.m. Same. I think I did one to like 4 in the morning, and then they schedule filming at like 9 in the morning. So you're fatigued. So you got no break. So that's part of the secret sauce. I was listening to this and going, holy shit. Coincidence? No. This is a recipe for poking people in a... How is that for love? How is that for good of a relationship? It's
and it's very similar to what happened on Love is Blind as well. A lot of cast members report the same experience. Long hours, not a lot of food, plied with alcohol. So it seems like that maybe that's part of the experiment, is being put in an uncomfortable situation where you're maybe hangry, maybe tired, and added on a pressure that most people have not experienced before, of constant cameras, which no matter how much you tried to be yourself, I would imagine, was that difficult to still show up authentically when there's constantly cameras around?
Yeah, just like Brendan, I knew I was fucked. And what I mean by that is I was going to be painted in a bad way. So I gave production everything I could not to give them the juice that they wanted. And so much just didn't make the cut, because I was able to either say certain things that just, well, this goes against the narrative. A scene I wrote on, I snuck a marker in my shorts, and I wrote on here, it costs $0 to be kind. So I had it in my pockets, and there's like 3, 2, 1, let's film. There's a big scene set, and I'm just like scratching my head all the time. So how can you edit that out? So the whole scene got cut. because like everything was tilted and set up to make me look like a bad guy, and I could see what was going on.
How did you know during filming already that it was edited? Because you're not seeing the post filming editing. How do you already know that you're going to have a bad edit while you're still in the show?
I knew on the wedding day. So things were set up for me to have my wife's cousin just be like bad mouth me. All that was set up to work against me. There'd be a scene where there'd be a bunch of people and all the drama and all that crap happens. But then they'd what's called a voxy, so like a post interview. They would never ask me my opinion. They'll get selected people like, what the hell? And if the occasional time they would ask me, I would give an answer is not what they wanted. So they kept repeating the answers, go, no, but you think this way. Like they poke and prod a direction of what a narrative. So well, that's not my opinion. I'd fucking swear a lot. Like, you can't talk like this. We want you to talk like this. You meant, but well, this is, yeah, it's reality, but it's so structured in such a way. It's like, yeah, my biggest regret is just like not fucking walking from the show. Like upon reflection, I was like, no, I would have known now. I wouldn't have done it. And then in those times that it happened, I just would have gone, see ya. Like, this is not, I'm not getting a fair go.
And you're saying that at the wedding, you already felt like if you were in your right mind, you would have walked at that point?
I thought I could have bobbed and weaved all the punches. I avoided being a hated character. But people going, oh, that Ben guy's, ugh, instead of like, that guy's a piece of shit. So that was a win. So I just become super unpopular. So I thought, oh, maybe I could turn the narrative around. It's like, you can't. You just, it's out of your control.
And one of the things that you've been talking about a lot on social media is the actual contract itself. But before you ever started the show and you first signed the contract, what did you actually think you were agreeing to when you signed all these terms?
Yeah. So in that contract, some of it's pretty confronting. It's just like, this is what you're signing up for. It is there in black and white. And the most confronting one was you can be painted or a character in any way, shape or form. Like it does say that, like edited out of context, you know, so you are handing over your reputation to them. What it doesn't say is about sleep deprivation, about withholding food. Like when you think, okay, enough's enough, they can go, no, we can keep going with this. It doesn't say that, well, to my knowledge, it doesn't say that in the contract. So that really got me off guard. I thought you'd have sort of basic human rights go, hey, need to take a piss, need to stop filming. Like, no, we'll keep going. So you serious? Like to a degree, you would think it's a workplace or be treated in that fashion. But when they strategically know how to put the pressure on you, that's when they get you. And that's when
Did you ever find that there was a difference between how the cast and the crew, who very clearly were employees, were treated? So when they needed meal times, breaks, to use the restrooms, were the crew able to freely do those things, whereas you guys were under these restrictions?
Yeah, I've found that there were selective treatment. So if you're one of the stars of the show, one of the good people, I found that they really looked after them more. They were still under pressure, but it was a different managed pressure where they wanted a bad guy to look bad. Well, we'll make him wait 3-4 hours longer. I remember they drove me to the studio for like, took 2 hours. They were driving around, kept getting lost, right? They turned the heater up for like an hour and a half. It's like, for what benefit? To increase discomfort. There's no laws against that. It's like, what kind of tactics is this shit? Just, okay, we'll keep them sleep deprived. We'll turn the heater up. We'll make them wait in a tent. So you're just going bonkers and you're getting agitated. And then we'll stick your camera on you right now when you're really uncomfortable. None of the contract says that. But they're going to do any of that. If that was something in the contract, like, really? Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, it sounds like once they start the show, they have an idea of which role each cast member is going to play. And if you're in the unfortunate position of being who they deem the villain or the bad guy of that season, they're going to take certain steps to make you act out. So you're saying that they would withhold food at certain times or put you in uncomfortable situations just to rile you up, just to see how you act after you're tired or overheated. That's a very psychological way of running a show. And I don't think that's something that people think about when they see someone acting out on TV and go, okay, that guy's a jerk.
Yeah. You couldn't have said it better himself. You nailed it. The producer got a job to create a dramatic show. People tune in for that shit. So how do you maximize that out of people? So part of these, what you sign up for, you're doing like almost psychological testing or behavioral testing. And there's psychologists off the show that, you know, you're meant to confide in a professional way, but it goes back to production. So if you're going in a really tough time, they've got the tools or perhaps the strategies to figure out how do we poke Ben in such a way for him to react.
Did they ever ask you things like that in the psychological evaluations? Like, what are situations that make you uncomfortable? When do you get angry or anything specific like that?
I'd have to dig that out on my computer. I do remember there's pages and pages of documents like, how do you feel about this on a scale of 1 to 10, this situation? And tick the box. Possibly that could be used against you. I don't know.
Were they providing therapy for after the show? Any kind of assistance there?
So on the show, they had a psychologist separate to anything because it's crazy amount of pressure. You know, you're nobody, and then all of a sudden you're going to be on the most watched show in Australia. It's like, boom, you're like it's straight up on the roller coaster. So there's a lot of pressure. So there's that element. But in my case, post show, I got diagnosed and treated for trauma. So I was similar to Brandon. I think he was walking off from, that's exactly, I went.
Related to what you experienced in the show?
Yeah. So there was a couple of scenes where I went, fuck filming. I'm not going to film. I just legged it. I just left the building and camera crew followed me. And yeah, the pressure, I was just in a bad mental space and needed a break. But they kept going, kept filming. And so I'm like, I'm sort of running away, which some of it made the show and edited in completely the wrong way. I was running away from my quote unquote wife. Point is, when I left the show, I was like fucking rattled, man. So I remember being at my parents' house at 3 a.m. and they got a TV in the corner, you know, like a little red light, falling asleep. I thought that was a camera crew coming in. I was like, fuck. So I was a bit traumatized from it. So the show paid for all my trauma to do that treatment, which was, but then when I healed from it and months went by, I'm like, how did I even get in that situation? Why did I get in that situation?
Of course.
Yeah, so something I chatted to in a previous interview is the idea of the concept is apparently in sex scenes, in pornos, things like that. I don't know, I've never been in a porno, but whatever your jam is, cool. If that's where you make money, all right. But what if you took it too far? So apparently intimacy coordinators, because it's a really intense situation, one's in an absolute point of breaking their mental mindset snapping. But why isn't there a coordinator to go and hang on production, taking this too far?
It's almost like you're saying there's an ethical question about when someone looks like they're not doing well, where do you say stop rolling?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because they've got biased interest to maximize drama. So if they're cracking in tears and not doing well mentally, or there's violence on the show, which has happened before, they go, oh, this is drama. And it's like, no, they fucking broke the law. Hello. Like, it's a double standard. It seems like society has a set of laws, but on a reality show, they're able to bend it just a bit differently because it's a show. So
that could be very dangerous. I mean, any show in which you're putting people together in a marriage situation, intimate situations, if those people are not vetted very well, there are a lot of abuse scenarios that could arise. And when you add on a contract that has certain terms that make people afraid to break the contract, that's very dangerous on the contracting party's side who drafted it to put someone in such a vulnerable position with the feeling of no way out. That sounds scary. And I know that when it comes to financial penalties, then if a person doesn't feel like they could afford a risk, they might stay in a situation that is dangerous or scary because they don't want to mess with getting sued. And that can be very scary for people too. So that's a very ethically questionable kind of area that we're in with these reality dating, love shows, marriage shows. Was there some trust that they built in you before you did the show so that when you were doing the show, you were thinking, okay, I know they have my back. Like they're not going to let things get too bad, before you realize that this was just out to get as much drama as they could extract?
There was no trust built. I was highly skeptical prior to going on. I do have a critical mindset, and I knew that I'm just another number to them. I'm not, quote unquote talent, but I'm a highly replaceable talent. So I knew there was no loyalty for that side of things. I just didn't expect for them to what I felt is breaking the law in order to get the drama out of me. That part I thought, surely in a workplace that wouldn't be occurring, but it did. And yet there's no consequences. I'm like, how can this be? And if you're...
And you say workplace in the moment while you're filmed, did you perceive it as a workplace, or is this now your perception looking back?
Yes. You could hopefully tell me as a lawyer with contracts, like it says participation deed.
Mm.
So if you're going to go on a game show for a few hours, okay, you might participate in a little game show, but this game show goes for months. So when does it stop being a game show? When does it got being able to get, say, workers' rights?
To me, compensation is the biggest flag toward when something is a job versus just a participation. Although contractually, to get two sides of an agreement, you need to give something. So that's why they do have to pay you. But it seems like a compensation in terms of employment because the way the contract is worded, there's a lot of things you have to do. They're not necessarily talking about it as a game show, as more of it does look like a employment contract or agreement.
Well, that's great. Can we sue them? How do we do that?
Well, did you fill out what kind of tax forms did you fill out at the end of the year? Did you fill out
Yeah.
employee tax forms?
Great bloody point. I did get paid. I got a weekly pay off them as one would say an employee.
Mm.
So that was, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I don't know how the wage and hour laws work in Australia, but there have been two cases in the Love is Blind world, and the first one settled. The second one is a class action that's ongoing now. You know, I always say that there are people who have so much success doing these shows and they're the desired outcome because they go on the show, they get 100,000 followers, they get a lot of brand deals, and maybe they get more shows within the network. And so it's a win. But for the people who just do the show, they get the bad villain edit, then they're blacklisted and hated. You really get a raw deal and it's not that much money you made off of it. You don't necessarily get fame. So it's really dependent on your experience. And I do understand why that makes people react differently. And it's totally understandable. Like you said, most people are going to do a show like that because they want to be famous. Most people don't expect to marry a stranger and for it to be their lifelong partner. But moving back to the contract, I wanted to point out a few phrases that stuck out. One of them, it says that the program is not a documentary and may include reconstructed, stage or edited scenes. So they say reconstructed and edited scenes. Are they just sitting you down and saying, hey, let's refilm this?
Yeah. Oh, like my wedding, for example, 4 times. I got married 4 times.
They did the wedding scene 4 times.
Yeah.
And now you didn't understand that before you went on the show, right? What that phrase meant?
Not to that degree. I honestly thought like I'd say something and they will chop and cut it and make me sentence that I never actually said. I thought, okay, there's probably that. I didn't actually realize I had to get out and redo the scene over and over and over until I gave them what they wanted.
That must be hard without like an acting background to just for everyone suddenly to redo scenes and try to say things exactly like they want.
Yeah, it was bananas. So my wedding scene, I write things on a pen and paper and I scribble stuff. It's just how I absorb information, but it looked shit on camera. So they wrote these professionally printed cards and I don't read that well. I'm bloody ADHD and dyslexic. How good's that? So for me, that's just my system. So I'm there and the card's stuck. So I went from card 5 to card 7 and read it. I think, do it again. Do it again.
For your vows, right?
Yeah, so which is kind of the point of quote unquote reality, because I had to get my wedding speech approved like 4 or 5 times, so I had to keep tweaking it for what they wanted. So my original, what I wrote, I'm like, I'm happy with this. It's like, no, like that. Say these words. I'm like, oh, this is pretty damn distorted stuff. What do? They're making a show. It's their product. To get it. So that's what I mean. They can curve your character how they want it.
And another interesting clause I saw was that the producer has sole discretion to determine the content, format, and portrayal of participants. So that kind of goes to your character edit on the show. Did you have any approval rights, like when they decided how you were going to appear?
Any approval of it? No.
Yeah, like how you're going to, let's say, did they let you know you're going to have this kind of edit? You're more going to come across as the villain or the not such a likable character?
No, there is no formal warning of that. When it's aired on TV, that's when you find out. You just don't know what you're going to get. I knew it wasn't going to be great from day one.
But you don't see any edits before it's actually aired on TV?
No.
So you're watching it with your whole family, like this is news to you?
I just use a bit of common sense. Like I knew what happened on the show. I knew things didn't pan out for me in a great way. I knew certain things and areas that did. So I said, look, just watch the first couple of episodes and it's going to take a sharp dive this week 3, week 4, whatever. And it did. And like, there it is.
And when you looked at yourself, were you ever like, that's not me, or that wasn't a full portrayal of me?
That was the traumatizing thing. So at the time on the show, I was believing what the quote unquote experts are saying. They are TV presenters with producers' hands up their ass and massaging their mouth like a puppet. That's what they are.
But what
But
are
I
they
was
saying to
believing.
you that you're believing?
I just got labeled all these sort of buzzwords. Oh, he's a gaslighter. Oh, he's mean. It's like, hey, you could watch the show, see what it is. It was just me looking like this horrible, horrible person, right? And then there was a reunion episode where I looked like my wife got edited in such a bad way as well. And that's not entirely true. I mean, her and I don't speak and we've moved on and that's in the history, but that's what I mean. Even people that I don't really like anymore, I still look at them and go, damn, even they got a raw deal. Because it's not entirely true the way it panned out. So what do? You just got to sit back and, you know, if you're speaking out about it, it's just like, well, it has got sour grapes. Or that's, you know, just trying to, it's like, how do you explain this to people? It's so challenging.
And then that brings me to my next question, because you have talked about this, but it does say you must not make any public statements or comment about the program without prior written consent. So when you started to talk about that, were you afraid of that contract clause? What was your understanding about it? And what made you still say, I want to talk about my experience because it was mine?
I had legal letters saying cease and desist.
Mm-hmm.
I
Do
could
you know what
ignore
that is?
Yeah, basically shut your mouth, isn't it? Because on a contract.
It's like, no, it's like stop or else we'll sue you,
Yep.
usually.
Yep. And I didn't. I thought, fuck. I talked to some other people on reality shows and some media people, and I thought they wouldn't want this stuff getting, okay, I'm going to go to court and sue. Okay, media will probably jump on that and be able to unpack what we're talking about. They don't want that shit. They don't want that aired. So I thought, going to risk it for the biscuit, and I posted some stuff. And so all my heaps of media reached out to me for interviews and it went to a publicist and they just kept saying, Ben's busy, Ben's busy. I'm like, fuck off, I'm
A
busy.
publicist.
They contact me direct and going, I'm sorry to hear you're busy. I'm like, I'm not. We could do this. We could schedule this interview. I'm like, well, your publicist says you're busy. I'm like, I'm being fucking cancelled. So at that
Wow.
stage, that's when that's when I lined up independently and I did all my own stuff. So everything I've done, it's kind of like being a musician. Like you got no label behind you. You got to do it independent. You got no contacts. You got to build your contacts. So that's what I did, and I fucking did it.
Why did you feel so strongly about talking about your experience and the contract?
Because it's wrong. And I'm so glad I have, because it's connected, like this chat. Nick Thompson, for example, him and I did a long chat, totally different shows, different countries, yet we were so aligned in these ways, like, holy shit, this is a thing. So more people speaking out, more people understanding it, more people, more podcasts, more information, just to promote like the other side of the story, and people go, holy shit, this is cooked. So that's because I can. Like, what other choice and option have I got? You know, your reputation gets slammed on national TV. It's like a top show in Britain. Oh, Ben's a dick. Oh, really? Really? Okay, you might not like me, fine, but just understand what is happening behind the scenes and then you'll reframe what you're watching.
Do you ever feel like you don't get any sympathy or understanding from people because your experience involved a TV show where people might view you as having gotten fame from it? And maybe they think you became rich from it. So they're like, boo-hoo, so you got a bad edit. Whereas let's say you were a Starbucks worker and you were under really bad conditions and you were speaking out, people would probably gather around and really want to support you. But they viewed what your job was as not really a job, but something so cool that maybe they all wish they could have done. So they didn't feel bad for you. Did you experience that?
Yeah, what you described is tall poppy syndrome, which, have you heard of this stuff in
No, what
Australia?
is that? Say it again.
Google this one if you're listening. Tall poppy syndrome. It exists in Australia and New Zealand. The reason being is convicts originally settled Australia and had to work alongside soldiers and troops. So
Oh, I never
as
knew
you
that.
become successful in Australia, we will chop you down, make everything sort of level. So if you're a lawyer, if you're doing something highly successful, people go, well, look at you, fucking Mr. Big Shot. And
Oh
they'll
my
find
God.
ways to drag you down where we're all sort of balanced. So it's not uncommon for people in Australia who might be millionaires and they'll just wear shitty clothing because they don't want to be looked at. They look at Mr. Fancy Pants. So in other words, if you rise to fame or rise on a TV show, people will find ways to chop you down unless you're highly liked. Or if
Mm.
you find Australian celebrities will do this, they'll intentionally be humble. They don't brag about,
Mm.
so they,
So you're taking a way bigger risk when you do a reality show in Australia because I never understood those cultural differences where, I mean,
you guys applaud.
here they idolize people with money and people with fame are just idolized in America.
Yeah, I mean, you applaud, success. Hey, you're number one. We're happy for you. And it's like, look at this piece of shit.
That's a good
Look at you.
American
Yeah, it's
accent.
like America and Australia, we're very similar in many ways, but these differences, that's a key difference. There's been people with fair bit of grey matter between the ears who might have listened to this and can actually see there's people, the puppeteers behind the strings making the show. And they'll ask me, oh, you didn't look. And then they'll ask me, like, say, how's it, exactly what you're asking. So how's it put together? And they'll be, oh, you're right. So they're really curious and asking really engaging questions to learn. And when there's not just me, this is across the board of reality TV speaking similar things. You're like, well, there's a pattern, isn't there? So therefore, all these things must be true.
Yeah, the pattern is definitely validating because you do get to come online and in podcasts and show up as yourself. So you get to put out yourself into the media as well and not just have this single vision of
Oh,
you from the show.
like, I'm speaking how I want. There's no guided things I must say. So you're getting the real version.
Exactly. And going back to the contract, they seem to make it clear that they don't consider you an employee. But production did control your schedule, right? Your travel, filming, conduct. Did that ever confuse you or seem like an imbalance? Or you were just going with it?
You just go with it. Like, I've got no experience television. And it's their show, and I do appreciate there's a lot of moving parts of camera crew, and you got wires and lighting and timing. That's a hard thing to coordinate. So I was initially, for the first month or so, I'm like, I'll do whatever you want. I'm an employee, for example. I want to be a team player. Like, I was offering the camera crew cups of coffee. Hey, do you just want a drink? How can I help you, help me, and we make this flow and work? That was my mindset from the get go. What a great opportunity to be a part of. So I want to be as kind and respectful as I possibly can until they fucking turn the blowtorch on you for the drama. It's like, what the actual fuck?
And did you feel like the compensation you were getting was proportional with what you were expected to do or how much control they had over you?
Yeah, like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's super rare. Tens of thousands of people apply. So you are highly replaceable. And as a result, money is terrible. People like, it's basically $1,100 a week or $1,200 a week. It's fuck all, right? But if you're smart and if you're chasing clout and your Instagram followers and you're selling underpants on social media, whatever your game plan is, OnlyFans page or whatever,
Right.
you can leverage that to other opportunities, and that's where you can make some cold hard cash. But if you just want a big payout, big paycheck, forget it. It's a launching pad for other opportunities.
Did you feel like you were able to leverage your appearance on the show after?
No. Even if people got a few 100,000 Instagram followers, how do you actually capitalize that? It's up to them and their game plan. Like, it's a minority of people that can turn it into maybe a full-time media gig. The vast majority, it doesn't happen.
Was that something you ever wanted? Would you have wanted a career doing that?
I mean, who wouldn't? Like, it'd be so much fun. Did I have high hopes and expectations? No. I know my limitations. I know who I am. I know my capabilities. And I thought the likelihood of that is so slim. So I just took a more reactive approach. Like, whatever happens, happens. This is out of my control. Chances are I'm going to look bad. Like, the way my persona is, the way I communicate. I know I got a heart of gold and people that know me know that, but I can talk bluntly. I've got the crazy eyes sometimes, the shaved heads. Like, man, we can paint this guy real bad. So I was very much aware of that. And when it started to happen, I'm like, oh, shit.
Like you were scrambling to try and get as good of an edit as you possibly could, like be on your P's and Q's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And despite that,
I gave them little to as possibly could. They'd ask me really hard questions, and I just deadpan. I'm like, I'm not giving them what they want. They want tears. They want me to fucking lose my shit and something. That I'm made for boring character. I just didn't give them what they wanted.
And now they do say in the contract there is some sort of mental health disclaimer where they say that you assume all the risks associated with participation, including emotional distress. And you mentioned that you experienced trauma. Did anyone explain how broad that type of language is to you before you did it? Do they
No.
explain the contract to you at all before you sign?
They just say, go see a lawyer and you got
Mm.
couple of days to, if that, it's like, look over it, get it done, get it back to us. Filming starts real soon. And if it's not you, guess what? Someone else is going to take your spot. So you
Right. You
really,
said there are thousands waiting in line.
yeah, like tens of thousands. They had something like 50,000 applications, maybe in total, but each year maybe 10 or 20,000 applicants apply. That's huge. Like you are highly replaceable. So
Yeah,
it's
of
just like,
course. Everybody's looking for a gig on reality TV for some
yeah,
reason.
I just thought, well, how bad can it be? I know I'm a good person. I think I can speak reasonably well. I've got a fair bit of grey matter between the ears. I think I can do this. And then there's so much out of control. You don't know what you're doing. And that's why I really resonate with Brendan Reed. Like what he was saying, I was like, fuck, he gets it.
Yeah, he really felt like there was a lot of manipulation to make him look like this angry man. And he, from what he said, it wasn't who he was at all. And he came across very sweet in my interview and so respectful. But he said that just insisted on creating that angry person. And some of the things that you described as well, with the deprivation of food and replaying the same conversation over and over, trying to trap you with questions. Did you feel a sense though when the show ended, because they were sending you for some therapy, that they felt like they cared about you and your next steps, or took some responsibility for how you were doing?
No, when I left the show, like they looked after me and not looked after me. The parts they did a great job with, they gave us food one meal a day. You
What
know,
time?
it's like
Dinner? Breakfast?
lunchtime. They fed us. You got a meal, so you got to get your own food. There is allocated time for that, so it's not as bad as that. It is manageable. Could be done a hell of a lot better, but there is times where I take sandwiches and take it in like,
Mm.
for filming. And it doesn't sound like a big deal. You think, like, if you listen to home, like, you're skipping a meal, it's a reality show. It's all part of the process. And just do it every day for a
No,
while.
it's hard to work all day without eating. No, I'm with you. I mean, for me, like lunch is sometimes the best part of the workday. I can't wait for it. So,
Hey, just try going out meals. Like try position yourself in if people go to work, you're in courtroom or whatever. You got to concentrate. You got to bring your A game. You got to focus, and then you might detach, go home, sleep, rest, and recover, and then repeat the process. But for me, there was no rest. You like that non-stop, and when they put the heat on you, that's the really challenging part. So for me, it's a couple of months of that, and then you're off the show, leave, left, just drove home. There's no follow up. There's no is like Ben's fucked. He's mentally fucked. Is anyone going to check up on him? Is anyone going to touch base to see how he's doing? There's none of that. I had to call them and go, you guys got millions of dollars, big organization, right? So they give me like this sort of 1-800 sort of number, which apparently, because it's Channel 9 who makes this, they've got reporters overseas, in Gaza and shit like that, getting exposed to war. Apparently they go through trauma and it's the same number.
mm.
So it's like, yeah, we've got this company policy, call this number. I thought, that's great. I found an independent psychologist to go who treats trauma and goes, yes, we could do it online through one, but you're going to get results in person. So I contacted
That
them and
makes
said,
sense.
yeah, can we do this treatment? To their credit, they did approve. So in answer to your question, was there something for me that got a treatment from? I got to give them a little bit of credit for going through that and agreeing.
Hmm.
Did they follow me up and check up on me? No. I had to chase that up myself.
And what about other cast members? Did you build relationships that you kept with you when you left?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple of years ago now, so everyone sort of moved on for the most part. But when I left the show, like one in particular, Richard, I'll have to send you this link now. Like he checked in. He was like, fuck, like few people seen how mentally cooked I was and sort of witnessed some of that stuff. And they checked in best they
And
could.
I'm sure like it's hard for other people to understand. So you have a unique connection when people can understand exactly kind of situation that you were in that was most people have never been in before.
You got that shared experience, and that's what I mean. Like Nick Thompson, Brendan Reed, but they live in America, different shows, different cultures, different time. We could chat and we go, you get it.
Mhm.
You, you got that shared experience of like, you just know, they know. And it's like an emotion that's really hard to articulate that we've experienced. You know what I mean? You describe anger, happiness, sadness. Oh, I get that. I've experienced that too. Well, I've experienced going off a reality show, being painted in characters completely false. And what that emotion is, that name. Oh, I know what that feels like. Really hard to understand or explain.
But was there anything that was positive that you also got through the show or through the experience or the aftermath?
This knowledge, funnily enough, like connecting other people about that, I thought, well, I do find this kind of a positive thing, but that's it. Like most of it, it's not as cracked up as it seems. Like for me, my narrative, like in the reunion episode, my evil character, other people looked even more horrible than me. So I got a bit of sympathy. I got a lot of apologies going, man, we thought you're an asshole. Turns out you're not that bad. So, but I wasn't going, yes, that was thinking, these people just don't get it. Like they just don't get the whole manipulation of production and why these characters can go up and down and, keep the viewer engaged for entertainment. I'm having to explain a lot of that, but it has opened up a lot of like, I go to a lot of networking events and people are so intrigued in terms of like expanding business opportunities through networking.
Mm,
It's highly improved from that.
it's a good
Uh,
conversation opener.
it's totally a conversation starter. I mean, we're having a podcast as a result, but in
Mhm.
other things I do, like it's a part of my history and something I did, so it's interesting. So I was like, man, he's got the guts to go on reality TV show, look like a dickhead in front of the nation. Man, he might
It
have some.
really does take a certain amount of fearlessness and not caring about what people think because I think so many people are deeply concerned with how they'll come across. And because it's out of your control, you have to have some element of just not caring about public's opinion of you, which is
Yeah,
not common, I think.
it, you gotta have a bit of guts. No risk, no rewards. Now I do subscribe to the why not philosophy. This is how I've lived my life for a long time, and I've done a lot of high risky, jump rings on the way down sort of mindset. It is that, it's out of your control, and that there's negativity sells better than positivity. So there's a high chance you're going to look like a dick on national TV. You got to deal with that. So I went into that thinking, but on the other hand, people forget,
That's true.
people,
Absolutely.
look at, so that's just human nature. So I thought if I'm looking like a dickhead, give enough time, people move on, people forget.
Something that you said a little bit earlier about, I guess, people not always realizing that it is a crafted show versus how curated it is. Do you think that it would be helpful if there was some sort of message to the public, maybe like a disclaimer when they show the show that tells you this is a highly edited show or not everything is accurately portrayed or this is not like a documentary, whatever, some sort of way to convey that to the audience?
I would do a cartwheel of joy down the lounge room right here if that existed on a reality TV show, because that is the facts. It is just like what the contract I sent you says, this is a curated show. If it said that 10 seconds, hey, this show's full of shit, basically, and then you watch it and then go, oh my God, that's an asshole. Like, hang on. It's a created show. Like there's people pulling the strings on how and why it looks the way it does. That would be, so in the case there's a complete half-wit or people trolling someone online or meet someone in the street and go, oh, you're that guy on the character. It's like, hang on, buddy. Just, if you give me 10 seconds of time, can you read this? You got to have some thick skin to go into that arena. If you don't, you probably shouldn't do it. I know people on reality shows that they didn't get a bad edit, didn't look like a villain. They made him look weird or odd, and that
Right.
was absolutely fry their noodle. That
Which
that
was inaccurate, though, you're saying?
was total inaccurate of what actually occurred. Didn't portray it badly, just skewed the reality, and they were like, "What? This isn't right."
Right, like, I could imagine you could have someone where they're staring into space and then you splice that in so it looks like they're, awkwardly staring when someone's
Yeah,
talking to them. Like, you can do anything with editing. I just don't know how much degree of editing they really do. Are they doing that level on the show?
Yeah,
Like splicing, moving around, completely manufacturing things?
yeah, and in such a, it's so obvious now. A friend of mine, well, friend, what's the word? Mate,
Acquaintance?
acquaintance. Jesus, having a brain fart. Yeah, he worked on Married at First Sight as an editor,
Mhm.
and they told him, they go, put this word with that word. So there'll be a shot filming, I don't know, a landscape, and the word, might have them thinking that it'll pan to the Sydney Harbour Bridge or something, and their words keep going, and they'll just splice the words in that order and just create sentences. It's completely
Mm.
false. Because you say, you got months and months of filming, you got hours and hours of content. There's pretty much every word in the vocabulary. And you could probably use AI these days. You can go, we want this word, that word, this word, that word, make it flow. And then all of a sudden, you're saying words that is completely false.
And you've already signed and agreed to it before you did the show.
Yep.
Because the contract does essentially say that they have full discretion with their editing. So at the end of the day, used to the fullest extent, they can do just what you're saying, basically completely craft what you said.
Like for me, I accepted that. It's like it's a product that they want to create and they want to make a show and storylines. I mean, there was story producers. That's their job title. Emailing me, we want this photo, we want them to create this story. That's a job title, story producer. How can there be stories on reality? It's like, that's
Right.
funny.
Storylines, correct.
Yes, lost my train of thought. I got a bit excited on that one.
You were saying that like you knew that they could do this kind of editing. You knew what
Yes,
you were getting into when you signed up. It was par for the course.
I knew that. I watched the editing going, whoa. But for the general punter out there, it's just watching the show, which I used to be
Right.
eating with dinner, just, this is some back, oh my God, and you get sucked into it. So it's about educating the occasional punter. Diehard fans of the show are very aware of this stuff. And
Yeah.
that's really engaged going, is the editing that bad? And like, mate, I got proof. There's undeniable proof.
I really grew up watching reality TV since I was a teenager from Real World, which I really think was real. Like I'm sure there was editing, but it's nothing like reality TV right now. But I loved all of it, Laguna Beach and Real World and all of that. So, and also Real Housewives. But I think it's wonderful that you are letting us know, us lovers of reality TV, like just what we're watching, because I still think it's fun to watch, but because TV is fun to watch, even when it's completely fake. But to know that, what you're seeing is not a real accurate portrayal is good because these are real people and it's crazy what the internet will do to someone bullying wise if they don't like you. So it's good to, let everyone take it with a grain of salt.
I'll let you, I'll just leave you with this one as well. So if you are a genuine asshole who's this bad person on a show, if you're a TV company, would you want to hire and work with that person, get your camera crew, your film crew, your producers to have someone who's going to be on, abuse staff, not, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
really,
Like
no,
a nightmare.
you wouldn't select them to be on the show. You want someone who's going to be on time, going to be respectful, going to be a team player, use kindness and work with the camera crew. So everyone sort of wins. So if you are this genuinely horrible person, you wouldn't get them for the show. You get someone who's maybe got a bit of a
That's
professional mindset.
such a good point. I don't think anyone thinks of that they have to make the person way worse. Because if they're an actual horrible human being, they're probably going to be a nightmare to work with and they wouldn't be able to do the show. That's a really good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
So that's
very good
good
insight.
support. Everyone who goes on a reality show has a level of professionalism about them to be able to go on such a thing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'd love to connect again in the future. So we'll have to have you back on. Thank you. Okay, I have to jump in for a second because the last couple minutes of our recording cut off right as we were wrapping up. So I wanted to do a proper close and also make sure you know where to find Ben. Ben, thank you again. I really appreciate you coming on and keeping it real. If you want to follow Ben and see what he's been posting about the MAFS contract, he's Walters Tours on TikTok and Instagram. And if you enjoyed this episode, please follow the podcast and leave a rating or review wherever you listen, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you're watching or listening. It's genuinely the best way to show love, and it helps the show get picked up by more people. Share it with a friend too. You can find me at Jasmine Weg ESQ on Instagram. The pod is Exhibit A List Pod, and on TikTok at Jazz the Lawyer. All right, see you next time on Exhibit A List. Stay curious.